We all want to figure out how to replicate extreme success. It is why we obsess over business moguls and analyze their morning routines, searching for a hidden sequence of steps that leads straight to wealth. The standard formula we are taught to follow is pretty straightforward. Your outcomes in life are 100% dictated by your conscious effort and your work ethic. You put in the hours, you get the results. But that neat equation falls apart in the real world. It completely ignores the quiet, uncontrollable forces that actually govern where we end up. Take Bill Gates. He is our cultural definition of the self-made billionaire, renowned for his intense drive and brilliant mind. But in 1968, when he was in 8th grade, Gates had access to a teletype Model 30 computer hooked up to a mainframe. Most university graduate schools didn't even have hardware this advanced, yet he was free to program on it late into the night. This geometric chart shows exactly how rare that was. According to the UN, there were roughly 303 million high school-age people in the world in 1968. Only about 18 million lived in the US, about 100,000 lived in the Seattle area, and exactly 300 attended Lakeside School, which had the rare combination of cash and foresight to lease that computer. Out of 303 million students globally, Bill Gates had a literal 1 in a million geographical and financial head start before he ever wrote a single line of code for Microsoft. The global economy is a game played with 7 billion other people and infinite moving parts. Individual actions simply cannot dictate every outcome. An incredible amount of chance is a mandatory variable. But if we acknowledge chance, we have to look at its exact mathematical opposite, risk. It is the exact same force, neutralizing your individual effort, just pulling in the other direction. Back at Lakeside, there was another student named Kent Evans. By Gates's own account, Evans was the smartest kid in the class. He shared Gates's endless ambition, and they planned to co-found a company together. That never happened. Before he could execute his vision or graduate high school, Evans died in a mountaineering accident. In the United States, the statistical odds of a high school student being killed on a mountain are roughly 1 in a million. Gates and Evans experienced the exact same magnitude of probability. One landed on the extreme positive side of the coin, and the other on the extreme negative. Both outcomes were dictated by forces completely outside of their control. We see this dynamic heavily in historical business strategy. Cornelius Vanderbilt notoriously ignored the law to build his railroad empire. Today, historians praise him as a scrappy visionary who let nothing get in his way. John D. Rockefeller executed similar tactics, circumventing courts to build Standard Oil. We read books about his cunning genius. But you have to ask, were they actual geniuses for breaking the rules, or did they avoid prison by sheer chance? Compare them to Enron. They executed similar rule-breaking strategies, but ended up collapsing under criminal investigations. They landed on the catastrophic side of risk. The line separating a bold, inspiring decision from a reckless, foolish one is a millimeter thick. Without the benefit of hindsight, it is often completely invisible. If these forces of probability are so mathematically obvious, why do we constantly ignore them when evaluating our peers? According to Nobel-winning economist Robert Shiller, it comes down to social friction. It is almost impossible to quantify exactly how much luck contributed to a specific outcome, and frankly, it is considered incredibly rude to point it out. This logic matrix maps out the cognitive trap we fall into. When we judge ourselves, we eagerly attribute our personal failures to the dark side of risk. But when we look at others who fail, we default to blaming their bad decisions or laziness. Our brains desperately crave clean, simple stories of cause and effect. Because chance is messy and complex, we ignore it, making us terrible judges of reality. This behavioral trap is dangerous because it tricks very smart people into obsessively studying massive outliers. Take a look at this statistical bell curve mapping financial success. Extreme outcomes out here on the far right edge require the highest possible concentrations of unrepeatable chance. That makes their lessons the least applicable to your own life. Warren Buffett is a prime example. His lifetime performance is so extreme that his results are heavily skewed by probability. Attempting to emulate his exact specific actions is futile because you cannot replicate his exact circumstances. As Bill Gates noted, Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces people into thinking they can't lose. When things are going perfectly, you are likely experiencing an anomaly, not uncovering a repeatable rule. If you want to understand how the world actually works, focus on the middle of the curve. Study the broad, median patterns of behavior. When you look at the average habits of the masses, rather than the billionaires, you find principles that are common enough to actually apply to your own life, without needing a lucky break. Recognizing the sheer weight of chance has to change how we view society. Not all wealth is due to hard work, and not all poverty is due to laziness. Nothing is ever as good or as bad as it seems. We need to leave room for humility when we succeed, and room for forgiveness when we fail.